30 minutes later, we're ready to take the cakes out. Again, no big time frame. Hopefully they come out just perfect, which they did. Well, that one did. I'll just turn it over. And don't worry about that being a little bit high. I could have used, they're just like a strip to make them really flat, but I'm not worried about that because I'll cut that off and that'll be my dessert before I icing. So I won't have to cut into the cake, and I still won't have to wait. That's a joke, but you can do that. Just put a little icing on the top. So we'll be making some buttercream icing here in a little while, but I need these to be completely cooled before I actually icing them. So we'll come back to you. Jennifer just asked me a question. I thought, well, I'd just address it so you guys could get it. She said, doesn't Pam change the taste of baking? If you buy the baking one, it really doesn't taste any different, in my opinion. And it does work, especially in a fluted pan, like when I do, a lot of times whenever I make a pound cake, I'll use this instead of just putting Crisco in it and then some flour. But either way works. But you can use this, like I said, and you're not going to have any problem. If you use a regular version of Pam that's not for baking, there is a difference. This actually has baking, has flour in it, so it doesn't stick. I've never had a problem with it. The other thing I wanted to show you, well, actually, I'll do another video with that. Stay tuned. How do you check your cake to make sure it's done? I got these years ago. Do you know what they are? At a place that made brooms. And you bought all three. This is like a little whisk broom. This is toothpicks. You can actually just take them and cut them off. And this is what you use to check your cake. Now, back in the day when I was growing up, we'd actually get one off the broom. When I think about it, I don't even know why we were told to do that, but we were. Get one off the broom.
That's disgusting.
And you just you just put it underneath the water and went like that, and you tested your cake. Well, here you've got one designated for it. It's not being used for anything else, and you just put it in. If it comes out with stuff on it, your cake's not done. And then turn it over and do the other layer, and it comes out clean. My cakes are completely baked. Just for your information. So here's my recipe for the buttercream icing, which I think takes the box cake mix and makes it a lot better. When you use fresh homemade icing, it's very easy to make. All you need is a few ingredients. We're going to need 2 pounds of sugar. I double my recipe, and then I just keep it for a little while, and if I bake something else, I'll use it on that. Even some cupcakes, too, if I have any left over. But I want to decorate this cake, so I'm going to have plenty of icing. I use 2 pounds of sugar, 1 whole cup, it's 1 cup, actually, of shortening. I use Crisco. You're going to need 2 sticks of butter. So these are just in half, and they need to be softened. If they're too hard, then you got to wait for them to get to room temperature. And then vanilla and milk. Now, to make it chocolate, this is what you would need just to make the white version. To make it chocolate, I'm going to use just some cocoa. You can get higher end cocoa than this, and it supposedly makes a difference, but this to me tastes good. I use it all the time, so I just get this Hershey's one. Also, you can if you wanted a darker chocolate, you can melt chocolate like bittersweet bars that you buy, but we're just going to do an easy version using the cocoa. It'll be a lighter color, and it tastes really good. So this kind of taste, if you think buttercream icing is too sugary, then this kind of takes it down a little notch too. So it'll be a little bit less sweet tasting. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started on this. Let me get everything ready. To start off with, you're going to put your 2 sticks of butter in. So those are 2 sticks. And then I like using this paddle in the beginning. So I just put this on, and you're going to cream the butter without the shortening first, because the butter, you want to get it a little bit, whipped a little bit before you add that shortening to it. And then we'll add the shortening. But let me go ahead and turn this on now. We'll come right back to you. So I've gone ahead and beat my butter a little bit. You can come look at it. Now, one of the tricks is, if your butter's cold, if you haven't let it sit out long enough, but you need to get it done, kind of like where I'm at today, what I do is while it's mixing, I take my hands and rub them together and just put it on the edge, and it takes the coolness right out of the butter. Just a trick. I mean, you could use a warmer wash rag, but you don't want to get it too hot because it's going to melt it. Your hands work perfect. Just put them together and warm it up a little bit. Now I'll add the Crisco, which is the entire bar, and if you're measuring 1 cup. Very simple. All right. Put that in. A garbage pile over there.
And you
now
use the liquid instead of that?
No, you can't use liquid in icing because it's got to go back to a solid to a solid, not a liquid in a solid. Okay, so we'll go ahead and mix this up. Jennifer, if you want to go ahead and show them, this is my shortening and my butter mixture. So it's very creamy. And I'm sure it's 100% fat free when I get finished with this.
Mm-hmm.
Then what I do is I go ahead and add my, hold on, let me get the scissors. Start adding the sugar. Now let me tell you something, when you start adding this sugar, you're going to need to add your milk a little bit at a time, because when you add this sugar, it starts getting very hard. You don't want it to get too hard. So I'll put about half a bag in there. You just use a 2-pound bag. You don't even have to measure. But if you get the box, then you'd need 2 boxes of that. Okay, let me keep mixing this, and then I'll show you what we'll do next. Alright, so when you're doing this, you're supposed to have 4 tablespoons. So I use a liquid with a tablespoon measurement cup. But I put more than 4 in here because I'm going to add that cocoa. And the cocoa is going to make it a little more powder in here. So I'm going to go ahead. You can look at this. And you can see it's, it's getting a little thicker. So I'll just put a dab in. I don't like it to get too thick. And then now I'll put in the other half of the sugar. Now keep in mind, I have not added the cocoa yet. We're going to add it in just a minute. All right, let me mix this up. Scrape the bowls. You can see there's sugar all around, and it's a little stiff. I'm going to keep adding my milk, and we might even need more milk. You just kind of have to judge it. You don't want it too thick because you can't icing with it. So I'll add the rest of that. You can see it's getting a little creamier in there. I still got one more liquid, which is the vanilla to add, so that'll help too. Now, if it's not stiff enough, you won't be able to use it for decorating. So you want to keep pretty much to the recipe. All right, now I'm going to add my vanilla. It's 1 teaspoon.
Even though you're doubling up?
No, oh yeah, I'll put 2 in. Sorry about that. 1, 2. Jennifer's keeping me in check today.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Now, if I was just leaving this like this with no chocolate in it, the reason I've waited to the last to add that cocoa is you can use a clear vanilla, which makes this real white. And I don't have mine real white right now because I'm not worried about I'm turning it chocolate anyway, so it just doesn't matter. But I use the brown vanilla in my icing all the time and have more of an off-white version. To me, it doesn't matter. But if you want it real white, just go ahead and use the clear vanilla. And make sure when you're buying vanilla that you use pure vanilla, not extract, pure vanilla extract, and not imitation, because it does make a big difference. Okay, so you can kind of see my icing is at a good consistency in here. It's a little sticky, but when I add this cocoa, it's going to make it a little drier. So we'll see if we need more. I start more milk at that time. So I start out with about 1/4 of a cup in here.
I think I need to taste test it before you add the cocoa.
You want to taste it? That's just regular buttercream. You can see how sweet it is. I like it like that, but not everybody else does. It's good and creamy. So I'll add 1/4 of a cup and I'll just kind of shake it in there. This is really to taste too. So if you like it real chocolatey, you could melt a chocolate bar and it would have an added chocolate taste. And you want to do bittersweet, not completely bitter. Okay. Now my only other suggestion, if you don't have this type of mixer, this type of stand-up mixer is a very strong mixer. If you're just making buttercream by hand, then what I would suggest is to you to add this to the powder and put it both in. The only reason I'm not doing that is my mixer can handle it, and I always like to taste it and see how chocolatey I want it, because I'm not a real chocolate lover, and so if it's too chocolatey, it always makes a difference to me. But I'm going to put in, I can look at this and I can tell by the color it's a little bit, you can taste it, Jennifer, but it's just got a hint of a chocolate taste right now. So I'll add a whole nother 1/4. So this will be 1/2 cup. And that's why I said, depending on taste, is whether I'll add more, and how dry it gets, whether I'll add more milk or not. So let's go ahead and turn this on. And don't worry about trashing your kitchen. You can see all this blowing everywhere. It's cleanup after you make anything in here, baking-wise. Okay, now you can see a big difference in the color. It's getting to be real chocolatey. And go ahead again and get everything off from the sides, because if you look when I go in, you can see the white, so it's not real mixed yet. See all that white in there? I don't know if they can see or not, but anyway, there's still some white in the bottom. So you want to make sure you're mixing it in good. So I just stir it up a little bit. Keep mixing. All right, I'll turn it back on. We'll come right back to you. So I'm doing a taste test, and I think I'm going to add just a little bit more. Jennifer, what do you think? You think it's got a lot of chocolate in it?
I think it needs more.
Okay, so I'm going to put another 1/4 in. So this would be 3/4 cup if you're doubling. And I think this should definitely do it. I don't know. And it's getting darker. All right. I'm going to add a little milk, so go ahead and turn that. Am I on? Mm-hmm. Okay, but since you're still with me. So if you look at it, it's getting a little bit dry looking to me. So I'm just going to pour a little bit, just a touch of milk in there. You don't really need a lot with powdered sugar, because when you're making a glaze and all, you just need a couple of spoonfuls. Makes a huge difference of milk or liquid. If it's too dry when you decorate with it, then it just doesn't look, you know, it doesn't stay on the cake. That's good. But don't worry, if you ever got it too wet, all you gotta do is add a little bit more powdered sugar and you're good to go. All right, taste it, Jennifer, and tell me what you think.
Pretty good.
Let me see if I can. That is plenty chocolate enough. When you put it with a chocolate cake, you're gonna taste a lot of chocolate in there. So I'll just mix it up a little bit more, and I'm done with the chocolate. Okay, so you can see that the icing, when you do it like this, is not a real dark chocolate. It's a medium color. And like I said, Crisco makes it lighter. And so you would have to just use butter, just plain butter, to get it dark. So that makes it a lighter. You can kind of see it's good and stiff. This should be perfect. So as soon as this cake gets, I'll stir in all the white, and as soon as the cake gets cool, I'll go ahead and ice it. But remember, that cake has to be completely cool. All right, I'll see you in a little while. My cake is still a little bit warm, but what I'm going to go ahead and do is just cut the top off to kind of make it flat, and that's all. And then this will be our sample piece. And the reason you do this is just so that it can lay flatter, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Just take off that top. That's good enough. Put it over on a plate. Then you can put some icing on there and eat that. So, I mean, they make a little band that I can show you in just a second that you put around your pan, and it makes it not, you know, it makes it cook flat. Let me show you what it looks like. Here's the bands. You soak them in water, and you just pin them. They make some Velcro ones, but mine are so incredibly old. I used a pin with mine. You just put them around the outside of your pan, and it makes it cook.
What do you mean the outside of your pan?
The pan that you're cooking your cake in.
You're gonna have to.
Jennifer's totally confused, so I'll just show you. You take your pan, you soak this in water first, and you just wrap it around the pan. And what I do is I just pin it in. And it would be wet. Put your cake mix in and you cook in it.
How does that keep it from?
I don't know how it does, but it does. I probably took a cake decorating class a million years ago, and it was only a beginner level one. And the rest I kind of learned on my own, to tell you the truth.
What are?
Anyway, these work.
Where do you get those from?
I got mine at Michael's.
Oh.
I'm sure you can order them on Amazon and everywhere else. But, okay, I just thought I'd show you what we're going to sample. I put a little bit of ice in between here, and I'll put a little bit on the top. Jennifer and I will get a taste while we're waiting on the cake to cool. Benefits of being the baker. All right.